Welcome back to Fast Politics,
Well,
Al.
thanks for having me.
It's funny because we were texting yesterday, and I was like, will you come on the pod? And you were like, well, what do you want to talk about? It is just every day. In Trump 1.0, it was like there were so many pieces written about like Donald Trump assignment editor, that we would be sort of in this, you'd sort of try to catch the stories. It used to be sort of like there was a novelty to it. Now I find myself just crushed by the news.
I find it difficult too. It is, especially if you have to cover it.
And it's like part of why he does, it's distraction from distraction from distraction from distraction.
What he does.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, right now we got the immigration stuff, and we got a thing in Israel happening.
Yes. So when we were texting, I said, what can we talk about? Regime change. It struck me as the one thing that everyone agreed, both on the left and the right in the 24 cycle, was no more Gulf wars. And now it looks like we're on the precipice of yet another Gulf war.
Well, hopefully not, but I am for regime change in Iran, and that probably is the only way you get it. But if I was living in Iran, I'd be rooting for regime change. But the best thing that can happen, I guess, is that the JCPOA gets renewed. Trump is now threatening to join Israel's side, right? And I think he will if Iran doesn't kowtow in a couple days.
You have served with these people. You know what's happening in the Senate right now.
I'm not sure I know
This
what's happening in the Senate right now, but go
Well,
ahead.
you sort of have a
Yeah,
sense of how this all
yeah.
works. And I have a theory of the case that we don't have enough, that we, the American people, don't have enough of a sense of how these decisions are made, how the legislature works. So right now it's being sort of written about like this is all Donald Trump's choice. Is this all Donald Trump's choice? And if so, why?
Well, I think the Republicans have basically said whatever you want, sir. And so I think it is his choice. So he's a very powerful president. He gets to decide whether we go to war or not. That's what I think. I mean, I don't think
Yeah, I
that
think
Lindsey Graham, who is a big hawk like on Ukraine, has any influence on him.
we're seeing visuals, right, of ICE going after people. In fact, there was a recent video of ICE goons taking a guy who was a translator in Afghanistan, our last failed Middle Eastern war,
Yes.
which happened like 18 months ago. I mean, not even 18 months ago, maybe 2 years ago was it basically was
Wait a
the
minute. They tried to take a translator who worked for us,
yes,
who saved our lives in
yes. They
Afghanistan.
had There's a video of an ICE guys trying to arrest and he says, but I was a translator. I mean, we're still dealing with the wreckage of the most recent.
But he must be completely legal, I would think.
I mean, a lot of these videos we see, these people are actually legal,
Hmm.
but they're being detained by ICE. I mean, for example, Brad Lander.
He was handcuffed too, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
detained for many hours yesterday. What's the play here besides helping Democrats?
What's the play? Being
ICE just arresting random people.
well, I'm not sure it's even helping Democrats that much. I mean, I think that as I look at the polling, people are split on this, and it splits along party lines. So I'm not sure it helps us even as egregious as it all is.
I think yesterday to watch Governor Hochul go into and Lander actually gave an interview last night on Chris Hayes where he talked about how they let him out when Hochul came. Like I do think people don't. I mean, the idea that they're just arresting electeds now. You can be a low frequency
Hmm.
voter, but you don't want like once they start arresting people. I mean, he doesn't even look like you could say, okay, I don't work in a field, but you're not going to be like, okay, I'm not the second highest elected official in New York, so this will never happen to
Or a
me.
senator from the senior senator from California,
California, yeah.
which was ridiculous.
I mean, it is a sea change to have videos of electeds being arrested. Like, that is a profound sea
And
change.
2 in how many days? 4 days or something like that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it is a sea change. But I'll be interested to see if we see another one anytime soon.
Is it like, are we sleepwalking? I mean, obviously, this is authoritarianism. I mean, I don't think there's any, when they start arresting politicians who are from the other party. I mean, isn't this like what we see in countries, that we study? I mean, isn't that what this is?
Well, I don't know. I mean, you can say honest mistake in both cases. I mean, it's hard to buy in the case of the senator, but I mean, he starts getting pushed out. I don't know what she saw and what she heard. It was absolutely egregious, but I don't know if this is going to be a trend. I really don't.
Right. I wonder why we have another police force that wears masks.
Why do they wear masks? I mean, these are the ones that
The,
are apprehending
yes,
what they say are undocumented people.
yes. It's like a kind of like there, it's funny because you think about
Had
there are
we ever
so
seen this
many
before? Our law
in our
enforcement? Yeah,
country.
I don't remember this at
So
all.
there have been times in American life where we've had, an FBI that was out of control, like the J. Edgar
Yes, yes,
Hoover
yes.
FBI. That FBI was out of control, right? We've had times when law enforcement, the federal government has done really sketchy stuff. I mean, the
Spying
regime
on
change
various people like Martin Luther King.
citizens.
Yeah.
Yeah, Martin Luther King, that's what I was thinking about. But this is sort of more blatant. And then, one of the things that I wonder about so much is Trump defenders will say he doesn't really mean that. It's not really this, right? And then he'll go and be like, no, I really want to detain Democrats. Like one of my favorite things he said, they should arrest, remember, they should arrest Governor Newsom
Yes.
because he's a very bad
Hmm.
governor.
Yeah. Well, that's the charge.
Right.
Very bad governor, and but
Right.
then it would go to a judge who would be the district court judge, and he would reverse it, and then they'd appeal,
Right.
and it would go
Very bad.
work up to the Supreme Court, and there'd be on that one I don't know, a 6-3 vote.
I want to talk to you about Minnesota
Hmm.
because you are a
Yep,
Minnesotan. Is that right?
I am
This has been
terrible.
a horrible, horrible week for Minnesotans.
Yes,
You had a state representative named
Melissa Hortman.
Melissa Hortman, who I'm sure you
I
know.
know
Oh,
her.
God.
I know she's a great and
Murdered.
amazing person. I campaigned around the state with her. She was a great speaker. She got an incredible amount done. She was a no nonsense speaker, but also just a person with incredible heart and humor, and couldn't talk about a better person than Melissa Hortman. And it is an absolute tragedy that she and her husband and the Hoffmans, I don't understand how they recovered. I guess I heard they had 9 shots in them each or something like that.
Yeah.
Melissa accomplished an incredible amount. In 2003, they had a trifecta. They passed an amazing amount of great stuff, like free college for people who can't afford it,
It's good.
free breakfast and lunch for all kids in Minnesota, every kid,
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
Yep.
100% renewable energy by 2040. It was her leadership and the governor and that made it able to go through. If you knew her, this is just an incredible personal loss. It's hard to believe that it's happened. Her kids wrote something. Did you see this?
No.
Well, her
No.
kids wrote something, and they said what you could do to honor their parents.
Right.
And this is just part of what they wrote, but they said plant a tree, pet a dog, and their dog, their golden retriever, was killed too. The guy killed their
Yeah.
dog.
It was being trained as a service
Mm-hmm.
dog to blind people.
Mm-hmm.
So they killed the service
They
dog.
killed the service dog. Visit a local park and make use of their amenities, especially a bike trail. Bake something, bread for Mark, that's her dad, cake for Melissa, and share it with with someone, try a new hobby and enjoy learning something. Stand for what you believe, especially if that thing is justice and peace. That's her kids, their kids.
So they got murdered because she was successful at passing things that help people.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Mike Lee joke, or whatever that was supposed to be, this is what happens when Marxists don't get their way. It was an
Yeah.
attempt to say that they were killed from the left, which is just evil.
Yeah.
I can't believe that. This guy voted for, his roommate said he voted for Trump. He was, anti-abortion, and Mike Lee is trying to do a joke in wake of this thing, and then two, something to try misdirect people as who the killer was.
So Tina Smith takes him aside, and we don't know what she
Yeah,
says, but we see a photo of her just what looks like really talking to him.
right.
He does not apologize because this is MAGA, so he can't apologize, but he does delete the tweets. And then he starts running away from camera crew when they ask him, what do you think this is? I mean, Mike Lee is not a podcaster, he's a senator. I mean, what do you think? Like, you know, a lot of these
I
people.
know Mike.
What do you
I know
think?
Mike, and
Yeah.
he thinks of himself as a wit. He really screwed up here. I mean, he really screwed up,
Yeah.
and that's why he did. When I saw that footage of him not talking to the reporter, and I don't blame him. What he did was so embarrassing, and
Yeah.
this is like and completely in service of an evil intent. So I just don't I don't get it. He's not
Um,
stupid.
One of the things that I was struck by is when he deleted the tweets, even though he didn't apologize and he didn't say anything and he didn't do what he really should have done, there is a sense that he definitely understood this was a loser for him, right? That these two people being murdered in their beds and then these other people being almost murdered, that maybe this was in fact the bridge too far. We have lived with political violence now since we are in this new normal. I mean, this is something we had in the 60s and it's sort of back now. I want so badly to be one of the people who helped shut this down, who helped stop this political violence. And I just wonder, you've been in so many worlds like comedy and government, and I wonder what you think the sort of the way to do it is.
I wish I had an answer for you. There doesn't seem to be one. I don't know how to stop this violence. These are people who are, I think, have gone over the edge in most cases. I don't know why the guy who shot at Trump did that. What was going on with that with him? And this is I don't know how you stop these. I wish I did. I wish I had a good answer for you.
I think that a lot of people in Minnesota understand that this is so dangerous and scary and that it needs to be talked about as what it is,
Mm-hmm.
right? Which is, this incredible red line that has been crossed that needs to not be crossed again. Minnesota has, it's just a state where there's a lot of religion, there's a lot of, it's just a lot of,
This guy evidently was a
service.
bit of a religious freak.
Yeah. I just wonder, like, how you feel about this and how and just how you've reacted to this and just, how politics has shifted and what your take on this is.
My take is, I'm sure what the take of most people is, which is this shit is happening. And I do blame Trump to a degree for basically saying that violence is okay. And he did that by pardoning all the people who were in January 6th. And there were people who died because of January 6th and Capitol Police
Right.
who died and
Right.
then who committed suicide because what happened
Yeah.
to them. And I think that uh, the question isn't, does Trump deserve some responsibility here? I think it's yes. It's just to what extent
Right. Yeah,
that of an
exactly.
atmosphere of violence.